Welcome back. Now, the platinum price has hit a 4-year high, and just about 2 weeks into the month of June, it has climbed by 10% during the period. And while there are several factors driving the strength, chief among them is the safe haven appeal as a hedge against the dollar as an alternative to gold. In the meantime, South Africa's PGM supply recovery remains slow. Kirthi Ramdhanee, head of Platinum Group Metals at Afriforesight, joins us with her outlook for the market. Kirthi, thanks so much for your time this afternoon. Now, we've experienced about 4 PGM downward cycles since the financial crisis, with the most recent one starting, I think, in around 2021. Now, are the recent gains we are seeing, particularly in the platinum price, an indication that we could be perhaps at the end of this cycle and we'll probably start seeing a sustained recovery in the sector?
So with the platinum rally that we've seen recently, we should expect some of those gains to be lost in 2025.
Okay.
However, we do expect a generally upwards trend for our PGMs.
Okay, and generally, what's fueling this rally? Other metals in the basket, including palladium and rhodium, have also posted some gains.
So one of the main reasons is increased investment demand. We're seeing, due to the high gold price, some investors prefer using platinum and palladium as a safe haven. We also see some renewed interest in platinum jewelry, especially in China, where due to the high gold prices, consumers are preferring the cheaper platinum. And we see that automakers have announced a lot of hybrid vehicle lineups, which use more PGMs than your petrol and diesel vehicles.
Before we get to what's playing out in the auto market, just talk to me further about the platinum's safe haven appeal. That's come across as quite interesting as we see that gold price really ticking higher.
So due to the increased geopolitical tensions globally and the recent U.S. tariff war with other countries and the trade uncertainties, investors have been investing in platinum and gold to hedge against the dollar. And as the gold price has been so elevated recently, the platinum's actually a cheaper alternative for safe haven demand.
Now, it's been also interesting to see how the EV narrative has influenced price action over the past few years. Initially, the move into, EV threatened the auto catalyst market, but with the slow uptake of those EVs and the introduction of hybrids, PGMs are still going to be really prevalent and used in those markets. I think Trump even excluded PGMs from the tariffs. Just talk to me about that.
So we see this in the US, the EU, and a lot of our major auto markets. Most of those regions planned to ban the sale of petrol and diesel vehicles from 2035, and we're seeing some reversal or some leniency towards those bans, which means that petrol and diesel vehicles will still be produced by many of our automakers, which pushes up on our PGM demand, and hybrid vehicles as a cleaner alternative to petrol and diesel has been preferred by some consumers compared to the fully electric battery vehicles. And that's because battery vehicles require longer charge times, charging infrastructure is not as developed in some regions. So that gives the preference to plug-in hybrids, which has battery and a petrol engine. And we see plug-in hybrids as emission standards are increasing. Plug-in hybrids use about 15% more PGMs than a petrol or diesel vehicle, which is very positive for our PGM demand.
And what about the supply side of it all? There's also been talks of a supply glut within the sector.
So in terms of supply, we saw in the first quarter of 2025, South Africa's supply was actually quite constrained due to weather-related issues. But from the second quarter, we are expecting a slow recovery in PGM supply. We are actually expecting a supply deficit in 2025, and that's because of the heightened investment in jewelry demand, as well as the increasing future demand for plug-in hybrids, which are creating a supply deficit and also pushing up on those prices.
And talk to me about, PGM's appeal as a critical mineral as well.
So it is very attractive in the emission standards sector. So PGMs mitigate the harmful emissions from exhausts. They're used in our vehicles, our petrol and diesel engines, but they're also used in industry to reduce harmful emissions. And as the world is pushing towards higher environmental safety and tighter emission standards, we see that more PGMs being used to combat these harmful emissions.
Now, we've also seen, the rally in platinum prices coming as a boost for SA, particularly our local markets and those PGM players, as we are a major global producer of PGMs. Talk to me about that boost, not forgetting that we also have our own issues here at home where there are concerns about exporting because we have issues at the ports.
So with the higher prices, we should see increased profitability at our miners, which should be able to increase our mined and refined production. And with the price increases, we've seen that the demand for PGMs is expected to rise. So that means we should have positive price sentiment going forward. This should encourage miners to increase their production even more. And as profitability rises in the sector, we should see some of those miners reverse the cost cutting that happened last year. And we should see them restart their expansion plans and mine more PGMs and restart their investments. And that will be an overall positive for South Africa. South Africa does have its constraints. The risk of load shedding always curtails, mostly curtails refined production. We also have aging mine shafts, we have transport and logistics issues, and those are constraints to the sector. But despite that, we should see some slow growth.
All right, then let's leave it there. Thanks so much for your time and sharing those insights. That was head of Platinum Group Metals at Afriforesight, Kirthi Ramdhanee.